There's a new star in the sky. A red star. Whatever you do, don't look for it. We started the project with the best of intentions. We wanted to build a beacon, a signal fire to announce to the universe that we are here. We are searching, and we, in turn, hope to be found. Construction on the Terrestrial Orbital Relay Communication Hub, or TORCH, began nearly a decade ago. The relay was built in secret, with a small team, and launched quietly once complete. We wanted to avoid the controversy we'd seen with the new technology like the Large Hadron Collider, and honestly, we didn't have the highest hopes for success. TORCH was something new. An orbital satellite that emitted a constant signal across 1,000 different spectrums, all imperceptible to humans, but powered by an experimental generator that promised greater range to our beacon than anything we'd ever tried before. Still, it's a big universe out there, and myself and the rest of the team didn't expect any return on our investment, at least not for several generations. So we kept quiet about TORCH, launching it into orbit during routine tests of my company's latest rocket model. I have to admit it felt good to have a secret from the rest of the world, to know that TORCH was up there rotating above us, a light in the darkness, a tolling bell we could not hear, but others might. My company has a friendly rivalry with NASA. We joke that there are the old guard, hands tied by politics and budgets, but sometimes they still beat us to the punch. I used to work at NASA myself, until the siren song of a thriving private sector pulled me away. I kept in touch with some of the former team, meeting with them every now and then for a beer or a game of darts. Our only rule was no shop talk, so I knew something was wrong when Benny asked me about work. "Hey, have you noticed, anything out of the ordinary?" he asked, while his long fingers tapped on the table next to his untouched drink. It was just the two of us meeting for a beer. I'd been rambling on about the difficulties of trying to build a chicken coop in my backyard since we arrived at the bar and hadn't noticed his distracted expression. "Define out of the ordinary," I replied after a moment. The room was nearly empty. Not too much traffic at 4 p.m. in a dive bar, but Benny still leaned in close, voice dropped to a whisper. "There's something out on the edge of our vision, our equipment. It's inconsistent. There 1 hour, gone the next. Never in the same place twice, a tangled mire of electromagnetic interference and white noise that we can't." Benny clenched his hand in frustration. "We just can't." I took a drink, finishing my beer, trying to process what I was hearing. "You said this, whatever it is moving?" I asked. "Constantly." Benny looked me directly in the eye for the first time since we sat down. There was fear written into his face, the primal terror of the first man who heard thunder and didn't know what it meant. "I think whatever it is, it's coming towards us," he said. I promised Benny that I'd keep an eye out and let him know if we found anything. That night, lying awake in bed, I kept telling myself he was getting worked up over nothing. It was most likely an equipment malfunction. Lord knows the only thing holding NASA together these days was elbow grease and red tape. As I drifted off to sleep, I couldn't help wondering if Benny was right, though. My last waking thoughts were of TORCH, floating above the world in its widening gyre, slouching from horizon to horizon. The machine was both beacon and bell, candle and horn, shouting humanity's existence into the empty dark. But what if the dark wasn't so empty? What if the dark saw the little flame we shot into the sky? What if the dark was curious? I couldn't tell if I was more afraid or more excited. The first public rumors of a new star in the sky, scarlet and bright, came in less than 48 hours after my beer with Benny. It didn't take long for reports of the red star to pour into my company. According to witnesses, the star would shift around the sky, not just each night, but every few minutes. Some people claimed to see it clear and sharp, while others said it was barely a crimson smudge on the sky. We detected occasional blips on our sensors like flashes of polar lights, but nothing concrete. The star, for us, remained a phantom. It took a lot of money and favors being called in to keep the reports from the news. We needed more time to investigate before the story broke. If it was nothing, if the red star was some hoax or mass hallucination or natural phenomenon, then Torch would stay a secret. But if this really was first contact, our logistics team was already working on plans for the parade, and our CEO was on at least the third draft of his Nobel Prize acceptance speech. We kept searching, electronically and by telescope, for any sign of the red star. On the 5th night after my meeting with Benny, I saw the star with my own eyes. Work was rough that day. More unverified star sightings, but something else. There were news stories of hysteria, even violence from some who claimed that they saw the red star. There was an unsettling account of a man taking his family onto their roof so that they could see the star, just as he had the night before when his wife and kids tried to go to bed. The man reportedly tied them up in chains and staked the chains into the roof. Then, when his family became tired and their eyes began to close, the man removed their eyelids with an X-Acto knife. At least that's what we heard, but it seemed like an urban legend to me. Bullshit or not, I couldn't stop thinking about the family on the roof. Bodies chained, eyes open, as I waited in my backyard looking up at the sky. I was out there for hours with my telescope, one of the best personal models money could buy. The sky was beginning to turn lavender with first light before I finally pulled away and sat back. I blinked, tired eyes, and glanced up, and it was there, razor red and bright, right above Ursa Major. I froze. Have you ever been caught in a riptide? It's a horrible feeling, the dragging inevitability of an invisible force pulling you away from shore into deep water. That's how I felt staring at the red star. There was a tugging sensation that lasted for what felt like hours, and then a quick, terrible snap. Suddenly the star was growing closer and larger and brighter. I realized with growing horror that I was moving towards the star. As my perspective rapidly approached the object, I began to make out details. I could see the exterior of the star. It was difficult to gauge the scope of the thing, but I pegged it as either a small planet or a massive asteroid. The surface was a dark maroon beneath the crimson light. It was pockmarked and pitted, scarred and crumbling like rotten wood. Ugly brown tendrils crossed the planet. I thought of congealed veins on a dead leg or worms on the sidewalk after a rainstorm. I tried to stop, but I couldn't break the riptide. Closer and closer. I could see that the holes and cuts in the surface were deep. I was drawn towards one of the pits and felt myself stop above the deep dark. And then the pit opened and I realized it was an eyelid. I stared down into a human eye the size of a city, bright blue and intelligent. The eye blinked and focused on me. I saw it was sharp and clear, and I knew without any doubt that it saw me. And I knew it hated me. The raw malice crushed me, and the terror was enough to finally break the pull of the star. I felt extraordinary vertigo, then falling. I blacked out. When I woke up, I was back on Earth in the bedroom of my house. I had no recollection of leaving my backyard. The sun shone clear and autumn warm through the window behind me. For a moment, I convinced myself the red star was the worst nightmare I'd ever experienced. Then I felt something move my head until I was looking in the mirror, and I felt something blink my eyes, and when they opened, my green eyes were gone, replaced with cobalt blue. Something smiled with my mouth. I screamed, ripped myself away from the mirror, fell, struck my head, and was out again. That was earlier today. When I woke up, I kept my eyes closed and crawled into my bedroom. It must have taken me an hour to open them, even longer to fumble towards my buzzing phone. There were a dozen missed calls and even more texts, calls from Benny, from work, from other members of the Torch team. The texts told a story. Reports of Red Star sightings jumped exponentially the night before, as did unconfirmed rumors of violence and disturbing activity among those who saw the star. We wouldn't be able to keep the story from the news much longer. My boss wanted all hands on deck. He still saw this as a golden opportunity for us to reveal Torch to the world, to claim credit for finding signs of life out in the stars, for welcoming that life to our doorstep. Something in me shifted. Something was getting comfortable. I felt sick, violated, and strangely claustrophobic. I had a passenger. I don't know how much longer I will be me. Already, I'm hearing whispers, thoughts in my head that I'm not sure are my own. The only certainty I have is that I must shut down Torch. Maybe it's too late. Probably, it's too late. But if I can stop Torch from sending its signal, if I could kill that beacon, then maybe the star will lose track of us. Humanity can crawl back into a dark cave and hide and wait until the predator passes by. In the old stories, fire was a protector. The light kept the monsters away. But in reality, I think the light just got their attention. I'm uploading this record in case I fail. Even if I succeed, I think that I'm already gone. I am sorry. We started with the best of intentions. If I can't shut off Torch, or if the red star is already too close, you'll know soon enough. It will be in the news. It will be all of the news. Be careful. Stay indoors, particularly at night. Go underground if you can. Whatever is coming, try to wait it out. And should you find yourself outside at night for any reason, keep your eyes down and your guard up. If you see someone standing perfectly still, staring up into the starry sky, run. If they notice you, if we catch you, I will make you look. Hello everyone, this is Magnetar. I wanted to express my great gratitude to all of those that have subscribed. We are at 166 subscribers at the time of this recording. That's absolutely amazing, and I'm very, very grateful for all of you. I'm interested to see if we'd be able to reach 200 subscribers by the end of the year. So please, if you like this story, if you like sci-fi and horror, please consider subscribing to the channel and joining us here in the void. But remember, Astrophobes be warned.